Hi everyone, my name's Jo Tantum and I'm a baby sleep expert, or to give me my posh title, I'm a paediatric sleep consultant. I've been working with little people for around 30 years, and along the way I've worked with lots of different families and lots of gorgeous babies and little ones. One of the big things that I always make sure is babies don't cry, or toddlers don't get distressed, because if you have a toddler or baby that's going to sleep distressed, it's going to be distressing for the parents, and it also means that your baby is going to not want to go to sleep. So what I always make sure is I do lots of natural movements and soothing methods. I also make sure that your baby's in the right sleep routine and the right feeding routine, just to make sure that obviously they're going to be tired enough for bed and not overtired, because that can be an issue. And also making sure that they love to sleep. You want your baby, your toddler, to snuggle up into bed and go to sleep and think, oh, fantastic, I can go to sleep now, just like we do at the end of the night. So it's really important that we don't let our babies get too distressed when they're in their cot, because you want them to snuggle down and be happy when they go to sleep. So I have worked with lots of parents, and all my techniques are all about the rhythm of the baby's day. Today I'm going to talk about 7 to 9 month old. Of course, it is really tough at the moment because of the lockdown, and of course you don't have that respite that you can in the daytime. So if you've got a little one that isn't sleeping, then you are going to feel like an absolute zombie because you aren't getting any sleep yourself, and it becomes really tough. And so what I'm going to try and help you do is I'm going to give you a few steps. I'm going to explain what's happening in your baby's world, and hopefully I can give you a bit more support and help you through this tough time. And then if for example, you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is the next phase of what is going to happen to my baby, then you can get prepared and start thinking about what you can do to help your baby. So one of the things that I always suggest for babies are white noise, because that really helps them settle. It helps them go through different sleep cycles and to link sleep cycles if they're not having great nap times. And it also helps if you've got a noisy household, or if you've got a sibling that's running around and you're worried about them waking the baby up. So that's really important, having a white noise. It's also a trigger for sleep, so your baby starts listening to that, and then it starts helping them to go to sleep, off to sleep quite naturally on their own. The other thing is darkness, so blackout. Blackout becomes really important, especially when it's light, when they usually go to bed at night time. So having blackout, I've actually got blackout on the windows, I've got a blind, and I've got curtains. My sister calls me a bit of a freak, and make sure that Constance's room, that's my daughter who's 15 months, her room is totally dark, but actually it really works because it makes her feel really sleepy. So what happens in darkness is the sleepy hormone called melatonin starts to kick into her body, and it makes her sleepy. And so when I put her down for a nap or at night time, she's going to be naturally tired because that sleepy hormone has already started to work. So that's the blackout, which becomes really important, and having the snooze shade for out and about naps as well, so you can get out and about. Having a story as well, having a little bit of routine, a little bit of song that you might sing to your baby that's the same, or having a story that's the same each time. That can be a reassurance as well. And having a swaddle if your baby's little, or a sleeping bag if they're a bit older, even for nap time, because that's them saying, this is a trigger for sleep. This is what happens before I go to sleep. You put those things into place, and by the time you started reading the story to your baby's already started to wind down and starting to get sleepy. So those things are really, really important. So what I'm going to talk about is 7 to 9 months old. So there's a big sleep development between 7 and 9 months old. And it's all about separation anxiety. So your baby will get really upset when you're leaving them. So unfortunately, this usually happens around 7 months old when you're going back to work. So if they're going to nursery or a childminder or a grandparent, it means that they get very clingy and very upset. Now, of course, you don't want them to get upset, and you think, you've got that mummy guilt, and you think, oh my goodness, I'm leaving my baby. It's just a developmental stage. Is not actually going to harm your baby, okay? It's just because they don't understand about distance. They don't understand that when they can't see something, it's still there. So when they wake up in the night time and you or daddy aren't there, it's because they don't think they're going to see you again, and then they get really, really upset. Okay, so this thing is called object permanence. And it just lasts between 7 and 9 months old, sometimes a little bit earlier. And the reason for this is because they don't understand that they can't see something. If it's not there, it's gone. So if you showed an object, a ball, to a 7-month-old, and then you hid it, just like that, they wouldn't even bother looking for it, because as far as they're concerned, it's gone and it's not coming back. If you did exactly the same thing to a 9-month-old and you showed them the object and then you hid it, they would immediately turn it over and say, silly, it's here. This is what happens, okay, between usually 7 to 9 months old. And this makes sleeping quite tricky because, of course, they're going to get a little bit upset when you leave them. So lots more reassurance, lots more cuddles. It will pass. One of the best things you can do for your baby is to play lots of peekaboo. So they can't see you, and now they can. Putting a towel or a muzzy over your head, and you talk to them, and then they can see you. So that starts them to understand that actually, even though they can't see you, you're still there. Another thing that I do is you can put baby into a bouncer or into, say, the jumperoo, and you can leave them for a few minutes, leave the room, still talk to them while you're in the other room, leave it for a minute or two, and then come back, okay? So they start understanding that even though you've left the room and they can't hear you, you are going to return. So there's just those few little things that you can do to help reassure your baby that everything is okay and you will come back. Now, of course, between 7 and 9 months old, your baby will have started weaning, and so they will start having lots more calories in their diet. Now, who's heard the phrase, oh, once they're weaned, your baby will start sleeping through? And then, of course, you wean your baby and they don't sleep through, and they don't sleep any better. And so you think, well, brilliant. And then, of course, you hear the next one. When they start moving about a little bit more, when they start crawling or when they start walking, they'll sleep a lot better. And of course they don't. So what happens is each phase that you're going through, you're expecting your baby to sleep better. Now, your baby will only sleep better if you teach them how to sleep. So if your baby is going to sleep with motion, so you might be rocking them to sleep. Now, that's really difficult sometimes, because I know that when Constance, who's 15, my daughter who's 15 months, she actually had really bad cough and cold through the winter. And it lasted for about 2 months, and she was really poorly. And so actually, the only place that she was comfortable was actually sitting on my chest, going to sleep. And of course, then she got into a really bad habit, and then I had to sleep train her and let her know that it's okay, the cot was okay. Because of course, you know, she'd love to sleep on mummy's chest. What baby wouldn't want to sleep on mummy or daddy's chest? But actually, you need your rest too. So it's just the effect of teaching your baby how to sleep, but without tears. Now, when your baby goes through these sleep phases, what you need to do is you put the triggers into place. So your baby will need a swaddle or a sleeping bag. They will need the blackout, and then we'll need white noise, because that's really going to help. White noise is really, really useful for a sibling or any noise that goes above on the outside. So dogs barking, lawnmowers, anything like that, that will really, really help. And it also helps link sleep cycles as well. So once you've done that, you've got those into place, having a song or a story that will help as well. That's really important. The other thing that's really important is having the right nap times. So what will happen between 7 and 9 months old is your baby is usually going to be tired around every 2 1/4 at 7 months, which then reaches about 2.5 hours at 9 months old. So 2.5 hours of wake time. So they're awake during that time, and then they're going to get sleepy. So look for their tide signs. So your baby will have tide signs. So they'll rub their eyes. They're going to play with the labels in the back of their clothes. They're going to get a little bit grizzly and a little bit grumpy. And these are all the signs that and obviously yawning, and these are all the signs that your baby's trying to go to sleep. Now, some babies, particularly boys, are very, very excitable, and they want to do everything, and they don't want to sit down or lie down and go to sleep. So what you need to do is try and set an alarm, and so you know that when they woke up in the morning, you're going to go 2.5 hours or 2 1/4 hours after that, and then you take them to the nursery. Now, having at least one nap in the day in the nursery is really important, because that teaches your baby that this is where I sleep at night time, and it's exactly the same. If you're out and about for both naps, so at 7 to 9 months old, your baby's going to have 2 naps, a morning nap and an afternoon nap. Now, if they are going out to sleep, so if they're in the car seat or in the pram, which of course at the moment that's not usually a problem, but if they are doing that, they start to learn that that's how I go to sleep. I go to sleep with motion. And of course in the night the cot isn't moving, so you will start having really, really difficult night times, because when they wake through a light sleep phase, they're expecting the motion to get them back off to sleep. And of course that then usually entails you having to pick them up and rock them back off to sleep. The other thing that your baby can do is feeding to sleep. So whether it's breastfeeding or bottle feeding, getting them to sleep. So what I always ask you to do is, rather than feeding them to sleep, feed them, if you're going to breastfeed or bottle feed, give them a bottle before the nap time, usually downstairs. So even if it's 15-20 minutes before, and then you can take them upstairs, and then it's all nice and totally dark. You can then sit and read them a story, give them a cuddle so they're getting sleepy, and then they can go into the cot. Now, some babies need to be a bit more drowsy than others. And what I tend to do is, if you have a baby that's really quite awake, you've either gone too early or too late. So write a log of what you're doing. So what you can happen is, you can say, okay, I put my baby down at 11 a.m. and she went straight to sleep. I put my baby down at 11:15 and she was really grumbly and I had to pat her or I had to rock her to sleep. So that's telling you that your baby was overtired. And there's only actually a window of 15 minutes from I'm tired to I'm overtired. And what can happen during that time is, if you don't get your baby to sleep in those 15 minutes window of opportunity, they will need a sleep prop to help them get to sleep. So that's when you're having to start patting them, you're having to start feeding them, you're having to start rocking them and walking around the room. And of course, that's fine, but when they wake in the middle of the night time and that's not happening, they're going to expect you to do that. And what can also happen is, particularly when they're going through the 7 to 9 months anxiety, each time they wake up and through that light sleep phase, they're going to want you to do exactly the same thing. So that's exhausting. And then what happens is, if you continue doing that, so you can do that for 3, 4, 5 days, that's what they think happens then. So their new routine is, I wake up and I cry, then mummy or daddy picks me up and cuddles me, and sometimes it takes 5 minutes and sometimes it takes an hour, but then I'll go back off to sleep. And then the same thing will happen again. So it'll continue and continue and continue. So what you want to teach your baby is that they might wake through a light sleep phase, but they have the confidence to go back to sleep on their own. Now, the way we do this is, you need to get them into the cot so they're in the right frame of mind, so they're not overtired, they're not undertired, by using your log. And then what you're going to do is, usually at 7 to 9 months old, most babies will either sleep on their side or their tummy. That's their natural sleeping, how they get into their sleep position. And don't worry that, nothing's going to happen to them, as long as there's nothing in the cot and you have a clear cot and you have a firm mattress. So put your baby in the cot, and always, if they're on their tummy or their side, if they're on their side, you can put your hand on their shoulder and pat their bottom. I always use a curved hand, and you pat your bottom. It's more like a push rather than a pat, okay? And I do it quite quickly at the beginning until I'm doing it slowly and slowly until I'm holding, and then I take my hand off, and then I take my hand off. And then what you'll find is your baby will really relaxed and they'll settle to sleep on their own. Try and do this for less than 5 minutes. If you have a baby that won't sleep in their cot, do that until they're completely asleep for the first 5 days. And that teaches them that they're going to sleep in their cot and they're waking up in their cot. And that will really, really help. If your baby's on their tummy, put your hand on their back, hand on their bottom, and exactly the same thing. If they stand up on all fours, you stop the patting, you gently lie them back down on their tummy and pat again. If they get really upset and trying to sit up and getting upset and annoyed, you can either gently lie them back down again, or you can give them a cuddle, pick them up, give them a gentle cuddle, calm them down, and then again, start again, okay? So what you want is your baby not to cry, not to be distressed. You're just gently saying, it's your cot and it's a lovely place and it's time to go to sleep, okay? I'm here if you need me and I'll always be here if you need me, but it's time to go to sleep, okay? So this is the message you're giving your baby. So patting off to sleep if they need to get them used to the cot, and doing that at nap times is really important. The best time actually is when they've had their feed and they've had a bath at the bedtime routine. So they've gone to sleep, they're all in that kind of sleepy mode, and you do that and you can just do them a little pat and then perhaps leave the room, okay, and watch them on the monitor. And the reason for that is they're more likely then to fall asleep on their own because they're tired out at the end of the day, they've got a full tummy, they're warm and cozy, and naturally they will start going to sleep on their own. Once they start doing that, they will put that into motion in the middle of the night. So if they wake in the middle of the night, just wait 5 minutes, okay? I'm not saying cry for 5 minutes. What I'm doing is wait and you listen. And what will happen is there'll be lots of different sounds that they make. They may grumble, they may do a funny sound, they might go, but anything that goes at the end of it, or is them trying to fall asleep on their own, but they don't think they can do it, okay? Now, if you need to, go in, you can pick them up, but the best thing to do is try and lie them down and start that passion motion again. The other motion that really helps is 3 pats. So you can have 1 pat on the shoulder blades, the middle of the back, and the bottom. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now these techniques will work for any baby. They will also work if your baby is lying on their back, so they like to go to sleep on their back. You can put your hand on their chest and you can put your hand underneath their bottom and kind of pull them towards you, sort of scoop them towards you, or you can just pat them on the side, okay? That is exactly the same thing that you would do. Now, these techniques should really, really help you. So help your baby through by doing lots of peekaboo, doing the patting motion, trying to get them to sleep for nap times, the blackout, the white noise, the story or a routine, and a sleeping bag, okay? Those things, if you have all those things in place and you look at the time that you put your baby to sleep and they're going to sleep quite quickly, that means you've got the right time, okay? So if you put all those things into place, you'll get a baby that's sleeping fantastically. So I hope that that's really helped you. I'm sure it has. And the next video that I'm going to be doing is obviously actually the 9 to 12 months. So there's lots of other different things that I'm going to be helping you through. So if you've got a baby that's around that age, or you're wanting obviously to look at that to get you ready for the next stage, then that will help you. Look at the weaning. There are lots of great books on the market. I always work with Annabelle Carmel. She's fantastic. I work a lot on her website and to help with sleep on the website. So have a look at her books. Her philosophy is fantastic. And it also teaches you right through the stages of weaning and what you need to do next and what to try next. That's what I followed with Constance. And there's baby-led weaning books as well. So it just really helps you give that confidence, just to make sure that your baby's having enough food for the night time to get them through and the calories they need. So hopefully this has helped you. Always here to help you, of course. Look on the Pure Flow website, because I've just discovered that they have these fantastic muslin squares, huge ones, and I've been putting them on Constance's cot because I always like something really soft, and they're bamboo and they're so soft and they're fantastic. So I put that on her cot so it's nice and cozy for her. And of course muslin and bamboo help with the heat and everything that we're having. So that really can help you as well. So have a look on their website because they've got some fantastic products. And by the way, I'm not in my shed, I'm in my summer house. This is our lockdown summer house because we decided that actually it would be a really nice place to have somewhere that Constance could come in the day if it's raining. And we can sit and have a glass of wine and look out onto the countryside and just relax at the end of the day when she's asleep. So I'm sure you all got lockdown stories that you've been doing lots of different things during lockdown. I'm sure, you know, banana bread, who hasn't made banana bread? So hopefully this has helped, and have a look at my website, jotantum.com, I do email and Skype support. So that should help you. So you take care, and I shall see you next time.